Hi, good afternoon, Mr. LeRoy Bennett. Thank you very much for joining our WQER radio's interview.
Good afternoon. Very good to see you and talk to you.
Yes, and we know you are the designers for the famous Asian band Mayday's tour 2017 and 2016. So my first question, was there any unique feature in your design for this tour?
Well, I mean, on this particular tour, what we tried to do is to create some things that were based off of other things other kind of concepts that I've worked with other artists, but a lot of it's about creating three-dimensional worlds. Now, I'm not, and I have to be honest, I haven't seen what they brought to America. I only know what we did over in Asia and China and Taiwan.
Oh, I see.
But the initial concept for the design for the show is to use layers of transparent video and basically because the show is so long, it's trying to constantly morph the look of the stage over the course of the show. So that also because every song is different for me, and so
yes.
It has its own personality. So it's trying to not give away everything all the time and really kind of pace the show using the newest lighting technology and video technology.
So do you have to create different settings for different sounds on the stage? I mean, you have to do so many adjustments for different sounds?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what we do is based off of, we work very closely with their video content team to create these looks. And we build, so once we've got the video content made, we then start adding the lighting on top of it so that it all is complementary and works as one piece.
So does it have any particular requirement, for example, integrating some Asian features in your settings or some Asian elements in it?
Well, a lot of that comes through in the video content, which their team provides.
I see. So for those big stage, how big operation team you have to have?
Oh, well, I mean,
curious on that.
Well, when we're in Asia, obviously the stage is in stadiums, and it's huge. It's about 300 feet wide, and about 90 feet tall.
Wow!
It's a lot of equipment. My team is there's about 5 of us that take to actually program all the show, and then there's a whole other team from Mayday. See, Mayday owns their own production company, and they actually have invested their money into a lot of things. It's quite a big company. But they have their own content team, and so then there's at least 12 or 13, maybe more of those people that we deal with. And then there's, there's layers and layers of people. Once you're outside of my 5 programmers, it becomes the team could go up to 200 or 300 people, depending on what they're doing, because there's people that build the stage, people do the lighting, people that build the video, the sound, the whole thing. It's quite a production.
Yeah, and then you have to integrate everything together on the show.
Yeah, and the idea of they had seen some shows that I've done in the past, and I guess one of them was what I did with Maroon 5. But they'd also seen the shows that I did with Big Bang, the Korean.
Yeah, yes, very popular Korean band.
Oh yeah, but. So they liked the style of how I did things and they obviously did a little bit more research on the work that I've done over the last almost 40 years.
Yes, long career.
Yeah, very long career. That they wanted to bring my Western thinking into the Asian world, and combine. And for me, I've always had a fascination for China and Asia in general. And I also at the same time wanted to bring my thinking and the way that I do things and help teach Asian designers
Oh,
and artists and just the music industry in general to make it kind of open their world and eyes to a new way of doing things. So it's kind of fun to work with them because they're very into the integration between Asia and Western world together.
So for yourself, do you actually study some Chinese art or maybe Asian arts for yourself to integrate those in your design?
Yes, I do. I mean, I have a great appreciation for Asian culture.
Oh, great.
I grew up, my father was an interior designer.
Mm.
And so we always had a lot of Asian, we had a crazy house because it was, he was very, he liked to mix all sorts of styles. And our house in the 1970s was very 1970s, very colorful,
Oh,
different textures, but the Asian art and furniture and all that stuff was integrated within all of that at the same time.
oh,
So that's kind of what triggered off my kind of connection to China and Asia. And ever since then, I've just, it's the, you know, I have an appreciation for the traditional Asian architecture and furniture and just in art. And it's just, a lot of times I try to do is take the influence of that and turn it into something modern.
oh, very nice. And so with so many Asian bands that you have collaborated with, do you see any response from the audience, from the Asian fans? And are they different from the American fans? I'm just kind of curious. I mean, you've been to so many concerts.
Well, it's very interesting working with all the Asian bands, and depending on where you are. I remember the first time I went to Japan, the Japanese were very reserved, and you know they'd be very polite about clapping. And since then, it's changed a bit. They're a little bit more animated in their reactions. The Koreans they're insane. They just let go.
Like a Gangnam Style.
Yeah. And they, you know, the Chinese, and it depends on where you are in China, but they're a lot more, particularly with Big Bang, with Mayday. You know, they are a lot more animated with, you know, how they react to stuff, as well as the Taiwanese. So it's also particularly the music scene in China and Taiwan is still relatively new as far as the pop scene on a grand scale. So it's starting to open up a lot more.
Yeah. So you do so many big concerts, right? You will work with Lady Gaga and those other huge shows.
Yeah.
So what would be the biggest like achievement you feel like in your career so far? Like what? Any particular moment you are very proud?
Well, I get this question asked quite a bit, and it's very hard for me. It's like I always say, every show is like a child. You know, you love them all, and you're very proud of them for what they are, because they all have different personalities.
Yes.
So it's hard to say which one is my favorite. There are things that stand out, like Mayday's, working with Mayday and the size of the production. The first Chinese artist I worked with was with Wang Feng.
Oh, Wang Feng. Oh, yes.
Yeah. And of course, the Big Bang stuff is crazy and a lot of fun. I mean, we did 3 years ago, we did a stadium, all the baseball stadiums in Japan.
Oh, wow, yeah. Baseball is very popular in Japan.
Yeah, but we built designed a stage that was in the middle of the stadium. It was the biggest stage I'd ever done. It was like 600 feet. It was a circular stage that had runways off of it. So the two furthest points were about 600 feet away. So it was massive. I mean, it filled up the entire field of the baseball stadium.
Wow, they're ambitious on it. So it's even bigger than the halftime show in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But, you know, things like doing the Super Bowl, they're always, the halftime shows are challenging because you have to create a big show that gets set up basically in 6 minutes.
Oh, wow, yes.
And then you have to get it off the field in that same amount of time. So you have to learn how to do things that look big, but are like modular pieces. So
I see.
I did another one of my favorite things is because I've been working with Paul McCartney for 16 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And we played a show in Rome in front of the Colosseum for 500,000 people. That was amazing.
That's like a historical moment.
Oh yeah, and also we played in Red Square,
Russia.
In Russia, yeah, in Moscow, in front of St. Basil's Cathedral that's there. So those are a few of the things I've done. Those are big things, and then there are things that aren't quite as big that I still am very proud of.
So with so many efforts for different concerts, and do you feel sometimes your inspiration dry out? What will be the challenge moment?
No, it never dries out.
Never dry out.
No, I just because I don't. I draw inspiration for so many different things, not as well as the music. And every artist they have their own personality. So my designs are based off of who they are. Maybe some small bits of concepts that I've been thinking about, but I always kind of form them around the personality of the band.
Oh, I see. So for those creativities, I mean, you mentioned about you like the Chinese culture and the architectures, and so if you want to get more creativity or inspiration from, for example, another Chinese band, will you go to Chinese philosophy or Chinese, spiritual aspect to get some inspiration as well?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's I'm as a human being, I'm very spiritual in the way how I see the world.
Oh.
And I'm very in tune, or I'm very connected to all of that, and just that's why I relate to a lot of different cultures, and that's how I can work with so many different artists, because I have to be able to relate to them and understand them, as it's almost being intuitive about and almost psychic a little bit.
So you had to read their mind somewhere.
Yes, because a lot of times. So I'm just going to get back to, I mean, it is, I don't understand all of Asian spirituality or culture to the fullest, but I know I have a pretty good idea of how all of that has influenced, all the different levels of how spirituality is affected in culture, has affected the, our traditions affect the culture. So, and I really like that, and I have a lot of respect for it. But what I was saying is that, when I deal with all these artists, and they're all so different, that, they speak a very bizarre language.
Bizarre. That's an interesting description.
Well, to me, because there's sometimes there's artists that know what they want. There's some that don't know what they want, and then there's some that kind of know what they want, but they don't really. Those are the most difficult ones. So you have to listen deeply to what they're saying and filter out all the things that don't really mean anything, and really kind of understand what they're trying to say, because they don't know how to express it. So it's
you have to have a lot of persuasive power too.
Yeah. Well, it's also part of my job is to, people hire me because they like what I do. They have confidence in me. So I have to always make sure that I have the confidence to, I don't want them to worry about the work that I do, because they have to think about their own job on the stage and doing that. So they don't have to worry about what I'm doing for them, and that they can, relax and not be so worried about things, and just kind of do their own bit. And my side is my worry, and they don't have to worry about it. So
That's great. Give them confidence. So also with the advancement of technology, I guess many things are integrated into the stage design. Do you have any prediction what would this trend be?
oh well, the next trend is coming where we're going to start integrating mixed reality into
Wow.
entertainment. Yeah.
That's interesting. What is mix? What kind of reality mix? Augmented and virtual reality? So
Yeah, kind of. But it's not. It doesn't. It involves at the moment glasses, clear lens glasses, not Oculus, where you're kind of shut off from the world. You're actually seeing the environment you're in because you're looking through clear lens glasses. But they're these solid three-dimensional objects that exist in. You can see them in our real world.
Wow.
But it's very interesting because you don't see that. If imagine you had 50 people wearing these glasses and they were all on the same network. That's the easiest way to describe it. So they're all on the same they're looking at the same thing. They see it from their perspective. So if you had somebody's head floating in space, if you're on one side, you see the face. But if you're standing behind them, you're just seeing the back of their head.
Wow.
If the head turned around, so you're actually seeing. You can walk around these objects too.
Wow. So these clear glasses you given to the audience on site, or actually people can buy and then they view it on the home computer?
Well, this is. I mean, technology is coming out in the next year and a half. You'll start to hear more about it in the next few months. But it's in theory when it goes in theory everybody would own these things, the technology. But if you're doing it in a show at first, when it first comes out, you could it's part of the ticket price, whatever, and it's quite complex right now to get a lot of these classes talking in the same network, but it's very hard to describe what it is.
So I guess probably at the beginning, or like people go to the 3D movie, they give you a glass, right? So at the beginning, people go to concert, they give you this glass, and then eventually you may have like a 3D TV at home, so you buy your own glass. So it's kind of like this kind of trend.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what would happen with this technology? You won't have a TV anymore. You don't need a TV. You don't need a computer because you'll have a virtual with you all the time.
Wow. So you're at home, but you're actually in other dimension.
Yeah. I mean, you could be sitting in your living room and you decide you want to watch a movie. You could have the biggest screen you want in the room to watch a movie. So it's just, so it's like any new technology, it comes out in its basic form and then obviously develops. And it's like the first cell phone was a big brick.
Yes. That's sometimes, yeah.
But as it gets further down the road and they refine it more and more, things get smaller and more advanced in what they can do and all that stuff. But it's going to be a kind of life-changing thing for a lot of people once they start to see what it is, because it's involved with just not. I'm working on it from the live entertainment side of stuff, but it's involved with the movies, of course, but then education and the military and medical world and of course the gaming world. So it's pretty wild.
Yeah. Does the industry actually feel threatened by this technology? If this mixed reality becomes so strong, maybe not many people want to go to the live concert, and people just at home and enjoy it?
No, that'll never happen because, I mean, listen, if you sit and you watch a concert on TV, is that exciting, or would you rather be in the concert?
Yes, live experience, that's totally different, yeah.
And going to a live concert is when I call it related to like a tribal thing where everybody's there. The energy of the crowd are there together. The only way you can experience that is when you are physically with those people, because it's the energy that they're, we are made up of energy, and you emit energy, and that's how we interact, and you feel about people, you like them or you don't like them. It's just their energy. So when you're in a concert, that is the same thing. So technology is a tool to enhance things. And this is what happens a lot of times. People with technology let the technology rule them versus them controlling it and using it to help their life. So technology can be scary, absolutely. And this could be scary if it's not used in the right way, but that goes for everything. It's like autonomous cars. There's no way I'm going to be driven by the car. I like driving, and I'm not going
to control it.
I'm the one in control. And that's, I think, a very important thing for people to always remember is always be the one, can always have control of your life. And so that's my little lesson on technology.
Okay, that's very good. Maybe my last question. So you mentioned about the energy in the live concert. So what would you think is best energy in the concerts? Sometimes maybe people are very wild. How do you think will be the good energy in the concert?
Well, I think the interesting thing about a live show is, even though an artist may be playing the same show day to day to day, it's their audience is different because they're in a different city. And some cities react slightly different than other places, or different countries, for example, whatever. But what happens with an artist is they feed off the energy of the audience, and the audience feeds off the energy of the artist. So it's like a circle. And so you get this kind of flow of energy that's going between the artist and the audience that really makes it magical. And and I know that the first show, the opening night, the first time I worked with Paul McCartney, his music, the Beatles music, brings back a lot of memories for a lot.
Yes.
And for generations, because a lot of times the first music parents will play to a child as far as pop music is Beatles. And it's kind of, that happens a lot. And so the first night the show started, and I started looking around at the audience, and I just saw all these people just crying and holding on to them. They're holding and hugging their partner, and it's just bringing back
touching
this
moment. Huh?
Yeah. So that's the beautiful thing about a live concert. And Mayday, they have this energy about them. Their music is very infectious, and
that's why so many young people love them.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Once you listen to it, it's funny because my guys that work my team, they go, "Oh, I just can't get that song out of my." That's good songwriting,
Yeah, especially after you listen to a live concert from music embedded in your mind. Okay, so for the next year, can you maybe at last you recommend some big concerts coming up? Maybe you recommend our audience to try to attend.
Well, I'm actually in the process of designing Wang Lee Holmes' new tour.
Oh wow! Exciting, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be the next Asian artist I'm working with. There might be another one in Korea, but I'm waiting to find out. Western artists. Maroon 5's going out next year. I'm doing. Starting working with on a show for Shania Twain and for Lenny Kravitz. They're not as big as some of these other things, but they're interesting because I like taking on different projects that, if I like the artist and I get the right vibe from them, even though it may not be the music I listen to, I like introducing my way of thinking into their world that they don't usually get that. So there's also, this other technology company I'm working with. I'm right in the middle of designing a mobile theater for them.
Oh, wow.
So it's
exciting, yeah.
And this time of year it's funny because right now a lot of this work is coming in. It all comes in last minute, and so I still don't know other projects I'll be doing next year.
Right. It sounds like an exciting new year too.
Oh yeah. But I'm trying to think of course, Gaga's going to be out doing some more stuff, and Bruno Mars will still be out at that time too.
Great. Wow. So we look forward to see more wonderful concerts from your design works. Great. Thank you very much for accepting our interview. Thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure.
All right. See you later. We'll maybe ask you again next year sometimes.
Anytime.
Cool. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.